All right. So day two, um, should have like stood up a little bit. So yesterday test was pretty good, but turns out that this knob was a little bit too tight. So we're gonna unscrew this yet again and then take a look what we can do. All right. So I'm just gonna, for now, hold off to these spacers here and do the same for the other one. Yeah, this is way more dynamic. Okay, so I really like this. As you can see, this is the final result. And they're very smooth. And I'm not gonna worry about this wobbling thing because when you use them, you know, you're not really like moving this way too much the way I thought. I'm gonna regret spraying this because now for some reason this whole plate here is very sticky, and I don't know whether this is just some kind of reaction to this. Maybe a coating is reacting to whatever is in there. Functionality wise, I'm quite pleased here. So let's stick to that before anything else melts here. As you can see, like how close it is to the edge here. I think it actually is touching it. All right, so we have something like this. So I'm gonna go put this back and see how the orbit is. We could come in a little bit more to even them out. As you can see, as I'm rotating, it stabilizes. I mean, this is a sign, you know, maybe just like, since you're already here, like why, if this works better, you know, why create this, the difference? I'm just worried that, let's say that we do go for something like this, we'll slap this here, and we're going to end up with imperfect rotation by default and end up having a ginormous hole just so we can account for the orbit. So it's like, yeah, sure, have a good knob here, but then like ginormous opening just so we can rotate it. This is how it wants to be. Let it be. Put your chest. Good morning or good day to everybody. Okay, let's get this box opened. It's just and we got a nice lowly sticker. All of my switches, very nice. All right, so I got like a little bit of different style knobs. So here's one. This is bigger, slightly bigger than that one. I believe this is 16 or something like that, and this is maybe 19 or 20. I also got white knobs, thinking maybe we could experiment with those. And I got a converter. Yeah, so very similar to what I had before, but this is factory made preset for these knobs. It's very, very close to that copper casing. It's thinner, but it's exactly the same size. And probably why it works better, because we had to use Dremel here, and to like prep the area, but this is just, you know, on point. I'm kind of used to looking at this one, and I kind of don't like how wide this area is. But those are two interesting. They are same family. This one just bigger overall, and it has this little curtain, I would say. So I got these purposely because, as you saw, this is what I am working with. I have two ginormous holes. I am trying to see maybe I could use something like this. Okay, so we have everything we need. We have our test subject here. So let's just try this converter here. Okay, I don't like that this one falls through basically. Hopefully this camera picks it up. But basically when I'm trying to insert this, right, it just goes through the whole shaft. But let's see how it actually works here. This actually is really neat. See how snug this is? This is just like perfect. These are really good, much better than what these copper connectors allow. Alright, well this obviously looks hideous. As you can see, this is not going to work. I totally don't like this. It doesn't feel the same way here. I feel like it's out of place. Interesting. So I have both of those large knobs here. They do work. Nothing is nothing is rubbing against anything. They are like a little, I mean, look how massive they are. This one is a little easier to grab with. Like here, it just feels like a little too fast, I would say. There's so much force now. I think this here, although it's ginormous, and I wouldn't quite recommend doing this, because it has a skirt, kind of like creates a little bit of a shadow, and it kind of masks the ugliness, if you will. Now again, it's just looks, it's not functionality at this point. This obviously feels great. Yeah, this knob feels really good. I just don't think we could salvage this with this knob, considering how large of the opening is here. So yeah, for this unit, let's settle on this. As much as I don't like these kind of shiny pieces like that. Now there's some shreds on the other side, so we can smooth this out. Yeah, this is actually pretty decent. When it's seated this far, right? Almost on par as the original, I wouldn't say that there's even like noticeable movement. Obviously massive orbit here is okay, and then it skews to this kind of side here. You know, I mean, at this height, it does feel a little bit more responsive, as you can see, maybe from this angle, how much taller it is. That's about maybe 4 to 5 millimeters, which is pretty significant, especially if you have big hands. Now, this is supposed to sit a little taller, I could tell you, but it won't be as tall as this. This is definitely has more grip. Just without looking at my disaster, okay, I'm just gonna like look away. I'm just gonna like feel them. Okay, I do like them. It's not terrible. You know, it's not far off from this. Although in episode 2, I think we were much more successful. I would recommend to not go beyond this 16 millimeter button. All right, so we're pretty close. We're just going to make the other one. See, we decided that that's how we're going to be living with this unit, which looks more and more hideous as I see it. It's the ugly duckling. You know, when you have both of them, this is where the challenge becomes. Right? If I just had one, it would have been forgiving. But when you have two, you're trying to build like a little set. You know, it would have been great to not have these, but to have exactly what I had before. And this, you don't need anything else. Am I complaining? Yes, I am raging internally. Maybe we'll have something like this then, just as a kind of memorial. Okay, this one died in peace. This one takes its shape. So it's like resurrection. Yeah, just like this. Okay, set. You see? I'm just gonna go like that. Call it a day. Slightly bigger buttons, slightly smaller buttons, same family. So let me just quickly adjust these because they're a little bit off, and I want to make sure that their dials are even. So even just like doing this here, it helped significantly. Look, I'm moving it, and yeah, I'm rubbing against that nylon spacer here. Man, this is much better. You already messed it up, that's bad. Might as well continue. When this dries, I'll use a little bit of alcohol and I'll try to clean this part up a little bit because I don't know, I smudged it somehow. Unbelievable. I think this actually looks pretty cool now that I'm looking at it. This one's just a tiny bit off. It's hard to tell. And they're like, yeah, just a little bit like a hairline. Flutter, can I please move you? You know, I did this test, and now I'm a little bit skeptical of the accuracy of it. I seriously feel like something changed. So when I press on this, the whole thing is going down. Alright, so just in case, what I'm doing is I'm trying to stabilize this bottom part, because when I'm pushing with the tube, all these knobs kind of like fall with it. Yeah, we'll take that. Let's try this. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? Okay, so here we go, guys. This is V3. Maybe just like many of you, I didn't like this at first, but there's something about it now that is kind of unique. Hopefully I don't come back here in the morning and change my mind. But man, this is just such a big difference. We've done a good job on the first one. Now we're gonna work on the second one. All right, so let's take this one apart and see what's going on inside. Really curious to see if anything changed. Okay, same concept. This one is a little bit more sturdier though. So I'm kind of curious, maybe there is some kind of new system here. Yeah, it seems like they did something here, because it's a lot harder to push this out. So I'm kind of wondering, maybe this is there was a little metal kind of hook here. So I wonder, maybe it's now on both sides, or it's a little bit more tighter here. So it's going to take a little bit of force to probably take out. Also, this seemed to be sitting closer to the housing. This had to be adjusted so that the motherboard doesn't move. Like here, so it has to be completely pushed out. Yep. Interesting. So there's some kind of sizing here, an arrow pointing. Very curious what this means here. I mean, almost wants to take this one apart and just compare it, but no, I'm not doing that. I'm feeling thank you. The biggest probably difference is again in those hooks. See, we only have one on this side, and then this version has two. So, the power connectors seem to be the same. It is a little bit pushed out here, so it has a little bit more tolerance here than perhaps this one. And that could be a major difference, because this one is going to sit inside that cutout, and this one can't. Otherwise, I would say that they are pretty close to one another. All right, so this one is back in business. Now let's focus on the other one. What do we do? Do we go for the concept that was developed earlier? My goodness gracious, that is crazy small. I just don't think this looks good anymore. You know, we have to pair it together with the scene. So we either go to these, which I don't think looks really good, or we go for the same kind of Boss style knobs here. I think this looks alright. Or we could just, for the hell of it, go a little bit funky and have one unit this way. Some kind, like somehow like growing on me a little bit. It would, like when we have them here, without the black casing, you know, with the color palette that is here, it works really cool. But look, for something like this, right? Let's say that we like white knobs. We could always swap them a little bit later. I think right now we have everything setup for this unit to function almost right away. All we need to do is just to drill here and hope that things align and it works off without having us do more work. I almost don't want to do the other one. So this is how it ended up looking like. It's relatively even this time around. It's way too tight. We need a bit larger opening here. Okay, so this is 11/16. And it looks like he would have grabbed additional millimeter. It's not terrible. So let's try this. I mean, we don't have much choice. It's too tight. And doing this with the Dremel, I've learned my lesson. So I'm just going to quickly swap this. Jesus Christ. All right, folks. Let's see what kind of damage we did. And there's stuff everywhere on this table. Okay, so we have babushka here. Let's see what we can do. Oh, please tell me I still have just a little bit. Probably don't need that much, but you never know. All right, I'm gonna try and force this. Probably a bad idea. Okay, I'm gonna reconsider that. I'm gonna take this out. I am seriously curious about this. It gotta be bullshit. Because there's like measurements or something, and it just like seems like maybe somebody was like, measured it in like 50 and then like, bullshit. Like, what kind of. Alright, moment of truth. Let's see whether this actually even fits with this PTE tape, and it does. We have contact, Houston. I do not understand this. Okay, it works, but right now my brain just had a short because I don't know what to look for. Like, I know it's rubbing, here, but because I'm spinning this, like, yeah, it's here, but is it rubbing like on this angle, or is it rubbing on that angle? Like, so top is good all the way around. Okay, we are scraping from about like 5 o'clock all the way to probably like 9-ish. Yeah, like 9, 5 to 9. Alright, so that's, and it's pretty bad. As you can see, I'm gonna probably remove this tape and we'll see it in a second. See? Maybe rather than like, going with the drill, you could use the Dremel and just kind of work this area. Yeah, we could try this. Okay, so we have one. Let's get this. This one. Okay, so let's leave this on the side. Let's do the same here. Let's see. It might be the same situation. As you can see again, this top side is okay. This one has a lot of restrictions. Okay, so it looks like from about, I would say like 8:30 all the way to about 3 o'clock. Yeah, there are some markings here. It's completely scratched here. This was a pickup. Pickup's got scratched and then went all the way. Yeah, it looks like maybe just a bit to come in here. Otherwise, even with the orbit, we still have like a millimeter left. Okay, so just a little bit on this side and this side, just to kind of even out the circle a little bit. So I'm trying to like see maybe I could improvise a little bit with the drill and make a tiny little bit better opening than using Dremel because it's a little inaccurate. I think overall this is pretty even. I think this is probably by far the best I've had, and this actually looks very clean. I'm not sure why I did not figure this out in here, though this does look a little bit, hidden now, but interesting. Okay, that one is ready. We're moving on to another one. This one spins just as is. Yeah, that's about 5 or 6. And then we have a little bit on close to 9. So similar kind of scenario as here. The only thing is like there's quite of a difference in these openings. What we're gonna just like send it all a bit here. I would love to get them more or less even. It's risky to do this here right now because depending on how the drill lands, like which corner, it might not land perfectly. It's going to skew in that direction and then we're done. And we're going to have the same issue like we had over there. So I might as well go and work with a Dremel. So we have right here really harsh, sharp element here. It's a little closer look here at that scratching, right? So the button was here. We were at 8. And as we were moving, here's that kind of sharp element almost at like 230. Right, and that's about it. So I might just try this kind of drill method because it gives me a little bit wider radius, and that way I'm kind of making a cleaner cut or cleaner trim in a way. Yeah, I say this is it. This is pretty good. Just a touch smaller than this one, but pretty good. I say we're ready to kind of finalize it. Alright, this passed quality control. Definitely better with just using a little bit of a permanent marker. Okay, so usually you go to this corner here. Pretty close, just a little bit. How are we so off? This is much closer. Are my eyes like deceiving me or what? It looked alright when we were working on it, and now it has a kind of a different orbit to it. Yep. Let me try something. Let's try it with this. I don't know how exactly it operates yet. Would you look at that? Yeah, this is it, guys. Right here. So you don't need to do anything. This probably was a good attempt. It does work, but there's way too much going on, and you will end up having something being skewed or slightly off on it when you smooth things out here, and you'll have deviations. Not only that, like, I basically messed up these buttons. But yeah, for anybody interested in this mod, if you go and just buy anything you like, and just make sure you get one of those converters here. That's all you need. And just in case it slides out from its housing here, like when you just use the screw to kind of hold it in place by tightening it a little bit, and that's it, and you got yourself a nub, and it stays in a really good orbit. As you can see, what the work that we did here, it just seems to be like on point. The level says that it is not level. Man, just a little bit. Look how close I am on the height. Like, look at the two screws. Here's the one that I like. Here's the one that I've been adjusting for the past 10 minutes. I think it's when I tighten them, they seem to develop some kind of like a random orbit. Like, we could spin this for eternity and it will be like different each time. Look, they look like they've been bent or like ironclad or something. Part of me wants to see them all away. We did not have this issue until I ended up raising them. So just for the hell of it, I'm gonna take this apart yet again. And I want to really make sure that, because if you're going to do this at home, I would like for you to succeed without having to go nuts. So this is how it came out, right? Not as tall as I would like them to be. Just needed a tiny little bit, but working with them is acceptable. Like if you don't want to scratch the paint, right, you can still use them neatly, without really, rubbing against it. But overall, I think this is pretty good. Again, this there is an opportunity to raise this a little bit, but I find that they're much more on point when they're fully seated. This seriously came out really good. It's a simple, like as you saw, I basically put this together in just a couple hours, so anybody could do it. This, on the other hand, obviously was exploration. It's a little tricky to work with, not only because of the design, but also with not knowing which buttons to go with. I do like these knobs, like they're pretty good. But I don't like that they're kind of, this one's lagging behind a little bit. This one's okay. This one's smooth. I can work with this. This one is a bit lagging behind. So in order for me to adjust this, I need a converter, and I also need most likely a replacement knobs, because I've been grinding them with Dremel and I don't know if it's going to be a good fit anymore. So if you really enjoyed this, please smash that like button. It really helps grow the channel. And I am going to take a little break with these pedals. I'll leave this the way it is. I'll play around with them a little bit more. Have some more ideas for what we can do here. And then once I get the converters, which I need 2 for each of these buttons, and I'll reorder another set, then we'll come back here and tinker with this device just a tiny little bit more